Hey everybody!
Hey, how's it going?
How are you, Marie?
I'm good. How are you?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How's 2019 treating you so far?
It is off to a really good start.
That's fantastic because we're here together.
Yes, of course.
So nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Omer Rabina. I'm the managing director of WalkMe Growth, which is basically the entire business of WalkMe for growth companies globally.
And hey guys, my name is Marie and I'm the head of marketing for WalkMe Growth. And we're so happy that you guys can join us today to learn a little bit more about how you can retain your users, and not only retain your users, but turn those users into promoters.
That's pretty exciting, but when we talk about retention and specifically doing that with users, we all know that you want promoters because that helps pushing deals along, and we all want customers to be successful. I mean, every time that somebody talks about customer success, my reaction is like, as opposed to customer failure, like of course we want to do that, but how big of an issue really is that in terms of data, which is something that every growth company care about? How big is the problem that we're trying to solve by applying different techniques around turning users into promoters and building that into the product?
I mean, I think it's a testament for why you guys are here. 2 out of 3 SaaS companies experience churn rates higher than 5%. So it's something that a lot of us feel in the SaaS industry, and churn is this big, ugly kind of gorilla in the room that we're all trying to get out. And hopefully we can tell you some tips today to help improve your product and customer lifecycle.
And by the way, this specific data point, if you're looking at, is not just means, it sucks to lose a customer and it's not very nice on the customer success team. That's directly related to the evaluation of a company. So if you're looking at a company that keeps, putting a lot of money to sign a customer, but then losing the customer along the way, that makes the company very inefficient and it makes the evaluation of the company go down. So this is really a core thing for the business. Hopefully some of the things that we'll share today will really help people on the other side implement that into their product and proactively make sure that you avoid that and you go, under this line of 5%, which by definition makes you in the top third of companies in the world.
Definitely. So how do you actually do that? We're going to go through a couple different areas today, but really you need to provide an impeccable user experience from beginning to end of the customer lifecycle. So whether that's from the first time they hear your name to the day that they were signing that renewal contract. For our purposes today, we're going to actually focus on this area, which is the expansion, bonding, and experience sector of the customer lifecycle, and how do we influence those areas to then build retention, loyalty, and advocacy within your company.
And that's actually a very important point, Marie, because the customer experience is really something that is determined along the entire customer lifecycle. In order to be successful, you need to set the expectation correctly at the sales cycle and make sure that their interaction with you and with your marketing content at the beginning is very, very positive and aligned and consistent with everything. But today, specifically for our purposes, we're going to talk on basically the user adoption, the product adoption side of this metric. So everything in the customer lifecycle, from the moment that they joined us, we welcome them into the family until the infinity time that they renew, and how we actually proactively manage that on top of the product to make every single user a promoter.
That's exactly right.
That's fantastic. So where do we start?
We start with the customer experience.
Fantastic. And so the first thing that you really need to think about is the onboarding of a customer. And that's actually the most important part, I would say, that has to do with the entire customer experience. It's pretty amazing to see, by the way, that it doesn't matter if a customer is even churning after 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 9 years, the core issue for which they are actually departing and churning sometimes is rooted, or mainly is rooted, in the onboarding. They never actually onboarded correctly. They never actually saw the value that they signed to achieve. And this is why the top metric that we're looking for is what's called an initial value moment. How quickly does it take from the moment that they sign the contract until they actually say, yes, we see the value that we are actually purchasing the software for.
Yep.
The reason that they do it. Otherwise,
you get something like this. A user that's frustrated, they have no idea what's going on, and they are a little too scared to ask. I believe it's 60% actually of users that churn are churning because they don't see value or they don't understand how to use your product. And oftentimes those two things are correlated, right? So how do we make sure that your user is not this guy? We put in place user onboarding. And more importantly, bringing that onboarding into your product itself and automating it so you guys can improve quickly and stay lean as growing SaaS companies.
First of all, I have to say that I love the fact that you call it a frustrator, which is kind of like a promoter. It's kind of like the opposite.
Yeah, frustrator.
The promoter and the frustrator, which is kind of like the new detractor.
Yep.
I love that. But in general, really building that into the product is the only way to do onboarding at scale. If we all had one customer, we could, go to their parking lot, give them coffee in the morning, make sure that they're very, very happy, physically onboarding them, take their hand on board on the software. The only way to consistently and at scale onboard a lot of people, a lot of different customers, is really setting the expectation correctly in the sales cycle and then building that on top of the product. So really build a proactive template or a proactive walkthrough that help them onboard from the moment that they go on, how to get to the end result, which is the value that they're looking when they're purchasing the software for.
And we actually do this at WalkMe with our software. So if a new user downloads our software, which we call the editor, the first time they log in, they're prompted with a nice welcome and explained the top features that they need to know and how to use them within our solution. Now, of course, any SaaS solution has a lot of different features, a lot of different offerings, but we need to make sure that those maybe top 3, top 5 must need to knows are delivered to your customers in that first session. So by providing them that instant guidance, they're seeing that instant value. They're also feeling validated in everything that they heard maybe in the sales cycle or the trial experience, and they're off and running to be successful. And then by automating it and bringing some of these things, these guidance or tips that a CSM would normally give, we're able to keep that overhead cost low, and we can grow pretty quickly and scale quickly internally by keeping our customer acquisition costs low. And
so just before we move on, I would say that the most important thing to take out of that part of the onboarding is it matters a lot. In fact, it matters almost more than any other part, because the root cause of every churn is actually not onboarding correctly and not seeing the value quickly enough. And the way to look at that is automation. Build something that automatically keeps your user on track to seeing value. And the other thing is templatize it. Try to find what is the middle path, the 80-20 way, the thing that is actually common to all your customers, and build it on the product so they can actually see the value by themselves at their own time. Don't need to wait for a customer success manager to get on the phone with them and physically take them through the whole thing. So hopefully that makes sense. So Marie, help me understand. So we did the initial value, they saw the value, they're now kind of like thumbs up, thank you, we purchased your solution, we like your solution. Now what? A lot of time, they will forget how to actually do the more advanced things, or will just feel like, okay, I know how to do the main thing that I thought about doing. And that really doesn't create the stickiness that we need in order to create the actual promotion and the actual, buy-in from the users in order to become the biggest promoters.
Right. So any customer throughout their life cycle is going to have questions. So whether that's on how to use more advanced features, whether that's as you change and expand your product, with new product features, how to use those new product features, where to find those product features, support questions come up. So it's making sure that you deliver a really seamless support experience. So first and foremost, our first tip here is giving layers of self-service support. Actually, we find in our modern day and age, and I can attest to this as a consumer myself, is I prefer, and everyone else prefers, 67% actually prefer self-service support. So rather than picking up a phone and maybe having to deal with waiting and hearing some elevator music, I much rather click a button and get rewarded instantly with the answer to my question or frustration if I'm experiencing frustration.
Which is like, I own the communication. I want to have it in my own time. I don't need to actually talk with a live person. It makes sense. We all text instead of calling. We all do that. So really building that also into the product at the right time. So at the right time, you're able to flag something wrong, open a support ticket, engage with support on top of the product without having to pick up the phone and move to another medium. That's actually a key to quick resolution and to making sure that the experience is consistent and positive.
Right. And I think it's something that I want to point out here is that we say give layers of self-service support. So it's not just one click to chat with someone. Everyone has a different learning style, a different way that they like to consume knowledge, whether that's reading in a knowledge base or chatting with someone, or maybe getting quick tips as they're going through a process. And that's another thing that we do at WalkMe. We give our customers those different options. So whether it's going to our customer support, or it's going into a knowledge base, or it's getting smart tips along the process of using our tool, it really caters to all of those different needs.
So let's talk about this, a little bit of a disease around knowledge base that we have all the time, which is basically the favorite answer of everybody in the business.
Yeah,
oh, you don't find it, check the knowledge base. The problem is that the knowledge base is kind of like the old encyclopedia that our parents had.
Yeah.
You never find it the way you think it is. It's never named based on a certain convention. You always have different people in your organization, and if it's a big enough company, departments, putting a lot of stuff in there. There's a version control issue. And then instead of actually solving it internally, you're just pushing it to the customer and expect them to like Google it or find it, or somehow make sure that they understand what's happening there. What is the best practice that we can give people on the other side instead of actually just throwing stuff at the wall, which is the knowledge-based thing, and tell the customers to just look for it?
So that definitely brings us to our second point, which is making sure that it's obvious on how to get information and where to get information, and also making sure that it's tailored to their needs. So 91% of people say that they'll use a knowledge base or some kind of self-service support if it is tailored to their needs. So make sure that as you build out these layers of self-service support, they are, one, it's obvious. So whether I'm maybe like in a specific page of the SaaS software, you have help there that's specific to that page or specific to that feature. And so you don't have to go and Google it and hope that you can find the article, or go to the knowledge base and scroll through. It's already predicting what frustration they're going to be looking for and putting the most relevant help there.
So let's talk about something else in relation to that. So a lot of the things that we talked about now are reactive. The customer basically told me, I have a problem. How do I solve it? How do I not just tell them, go fish and look at the knowledge base? Sometimes things that have to do with adoption have actually to be proactive. I released a new feature and I want people to adopt it. I did something with my product. I created a new use case, and I think that a lot of my customers can actually benefit from that. How do you think, or maybe you want to share how we're doing it at WalkMe, how do you think we should treat those conversations? It has to do with like, proactive approach around product releases and new features.
Yeah, so when it comes to product releases, and especially for a marketer like myself, even though we do send out pre-release emails and also release emails, we all know that emails are not really read. Maybe the subject line is glanced at and then deleted, or maybe it goes into a promotions bucket in Gmail. So really bringing those announcements within the application exponentially has kept our product questions low, especially surrounding releases. So again, when a new product release is released and you open up our editor or our software, you're instantly prompted with what that release entails. And then not only that, but we link to knowledge base articles that are specific to that release, or we also then will point to where those new features are and then guide the user how to use them. So it is giving them the knowledge, and then it's also leading them to where can I find the knowledge in the future, rather than like, again, searching the knowledge base or going back, searching my email for that release email. And then third, it's also improving our adoption of these new releases by pointing to them and explaining how to use them right off the bat when they're in our application.
So if we talked at the beginning about the onboarding, where it was really about building to the product and automate, at this stage, which is more like the stable stage of like the user experience, the customer experience, it's about having both a proactive and then a reactive approach. If it's reactive, make sure that they can solve the problem on the product in a layered approach. If it's proactive, for us to make sure that we are actually initiating this conversation and let them continue and experience that and have all the access to all the information they need by themselves. So that's very much a key. Anything else we want to cover around the user experience before we jump into the next stage?
I think we covered our big tips for user experience. So now we'll move into the next cycle of the customer journey or customer life cycle, which is bonding.
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 Bonding. Okay.
And really, we are bonding with our customers. So think of it as an acquaintance. You need to bond with that acquaintance to then make them a friend. And by improving that trust and that added value with that acquaintance, they then become that friend. And you talk about your friends all the time, or at least I do. So with bonding, we definitely want to make sure that we're giving them added value and making sure that they feel special. So how do we do this? What are your
So first of all, when it comes to like added value, we need to make sure that the value is also value specific to them, to the use case that they initiated. And that actually touches the feel special. A lot of marketeers and a lot of people out there are trying to do spray and pray efforts, basically like one suit fits all. It's very easy to see them. We are all getting thousands of those messages a day. Really having your interactions based on specific triggers and specific use cases that are happening is actually a key. They did something in the product, they touched something specifically, they encountered an issue, they configured a new thing, they published something to their instance. All of those things should really trigger some kind of a communication that really feels that it's based on something. It's a trigger-based event. The fact is that there's no magic answer here, right? It's all in the details. It's all based on your specific vertical, your specific interaction with your customers. But one of the things that, for example, we have done is really listen to our customers and why and how we can actually make them feel special. And the way to do it is taking a cab. It's actually creating a customer advisory board, what we call here taking a cab. And we have our own global customer advisory board where we are finding the customers that are most opinionated and unique in their use cases, putting them together, and actually bring them together to give us their feedback about what can we do in our product roadmap. A, they feel special because they're invited to be part of designing the roadmap. B, it validates their needs, or even better, invalidates their needs. So here's a funny situation. Let's say that we have a customer that says, I can't believe, Marie, that you and your team do not have a feature to solve that thing. If they're on the cab and they're speaking about that and everybody else saying, no, we cannot solve it differently, or that's not a real need, they don't feel like there is a big gap here that we as their vendor don't see. And they can maybe figure out from other people in the cab what other ways they used in order to solve that problem. So it's actually a very, very unique tool. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts that you have?
Yeah, another great way to add that added value and make your customers feel special are by hosting exclusive customer events.
Yep.
So having events that maybe are located in your top cities that your customers are located in, you invite them, and you might also invite prospects. So you are, again, saying to them that this is an exclusive event. We've chosen you specifically because you have a great experience, and we want to not only reward you for your hard work and your use of our products, but also we think you're an amazing person to talk to people who might see value in our product as well. And that would make me feel special, and I would love to go to an event. Free food. Everyone loves free food.
That's fair.
And then I would love to talk to other people about something that I use and love. So it's a really easy and natural way to, again, give them value, make them feel special, but also you as a company get value out of it in addition with promoting it to potential new customers.
And you are very special, Mark. Very special.
Thanks.
And let's all remember that when you sell and when you serve people as a vendor, they're also people at the end of the day. Yes. And so the way that we show people that they're special on their birthday or on special occasions, when your girlfriend or boyfriend are angry at you, is also true right here, which is gifts.
Gifts.
And so a lot of time, having a welcome gift that just says, welcome to the family, we're so happy to have you as a customer, or appreciation gift, or pointing out at a specific milestone in their adoption, in using and utilizing a specific feature, or getting to a KPI that you decided along the customer and the vendor that is going to be our target. all the appreciation around that through gifts. And it can be an email that says that, and that can be an actual gift. Free food, as you said, always works. We are sending copious amount of cupcakes, I think, out of this office. So these things are really, really matter when it comes to showing that I care at the right time. And it's actually triggered based on specific event in the life cycle of us as a vendor and the customer as a customer.
Right, and that's a good point is, again, you want to make this very specific. Point out what you are rewarding them for, making sure that it doesn't feel like they're just getting rewarded for existing. You want to reward good behavior. We're all humans at the end of the day, like you mentioned, and rewarding that good behavior and at specific points is the way to do it.
And so, Marie, we kind of deviated from our main, I think, takeaway of today, which is really build everything into the product. So I kind of want to take us back to there, because the one thing that I think we should all talk about is, yes, gifts are very nice, but again, the most scalable thing is to actually build everything that has to do with the user experience into the product, so you can proactively create this kind of relationship and bonding with every single user at scale. And so how do we take this fun spirit and build it into our products?
Make your product fun. So one of my favorite examples of this is Asana. So I have been a longtime user of Asana. I've tried other tools and keep coming back to it. And one of the reasons for that is because it's just genuinely fun to use. So as I am going through, they have like a fun feature where if you click Tab B on your computer, you'll actually get tabby cats on your screen. And when I check off a task, I've completed it, I will get different fantastical creatures that fly across my screen as a celebration. And these things don't add any actual practicality to my project.
Cats are never practical, let's be absolutely honest.
Yeah, they're not my favorite creatures, but they're still cute to look at when they come on my screen.
It makes you happy.
But it's things like this that then get me talking about it, showing my friends, and my friends remember it, and when they need a solution like Asana, they then use it. And even now, I'm talking about it to you. So making your product the most lovable product will definitely increase that natural promotion of your product, as I'm doing right now.
So that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, Marie, we are running a business. And so cats are cute, but you need to buy them food, and you need to buy food for your kids or anybody else. And so
yourself.
Or yourself. Sometimes you want to eat yourself and you don't want to eat the cat. And so how do we actually tie it all together into purchasing decision, into the renewal, into the commercial conversation that we need to have with each one of those customers, sometimes once a month, regularly once a year? How do we actually move to the purchasing stage in this entire customer lifecycle in terms of user experience?
Yeah, so at this point, we'll move into that next stage, which is expansion or purchasing. And at this point, if you have built that amazing onboarding process and you've supported them throughout the way, you've added that added value and trust, renewal should be simple, but it
never is.
It never is.
It never is.
And I would say I want to focus here on that second sale. So second money is really the easiest money that you'll ever ask for. And honestly, you're just asking. It's not a guarantee. It's not you're needing to get it to make sure you retain them. It's building that additional value for both you and the customer. And unfortunately, second money, and when I say that, I mean upsells and cross sells in this case. Salespeople don't ask for it. 96% of salespeople won't ask for the second sale, and they wait for customers to initiate it.
Which is actually kind of funny, because at the end of the day, most of our organizations have a sales motion that is basically hunting and goes for new logos, and then a farming motion. But they are so focused on the value, they usually are not doing those commercial discussions, even though a research by McKinsey, for example, shows that it's 7 times easier to sell $1 to an existing customer as opposed to signing a new one.
Definitely. So there's a couple of things that we recommend that you do here. I think with the biggest thing is number one, ask. Get your sales agents, get your renewal managers, get your CSMs to start to recognize when these moments should occur. So we do that internally. We teach our CSMs what things to ask and what things to look for to identify the timing of when a upsell or cross-sell might happen. We also train our renewal managers to have these conversations early and often. And I think it really depends on everyone's model. So you have to sit down yourself and figure out, based off of your life cycle, your customer life cycle, when are these if this then that scenarios going to occur, so that you can start asking. Once you do identify those, I would even recommend like A/B testing. How are you asking? What's the language that you're using? And also maybe when you're asking as well. Is it closer to renewal? Is it after an onboarding survey is sent? Is it after an yes survey is sent? Is it maybe after you had one of those exclusive customer events? And then from that, you can always adjust, but ask.
And I think that's in a way kind of like when we talked about gifting. Everything needs to be triggered based on a specific situation. So just sending flowers to your customer every day is not going to work. Also going to be just a little bit creepy. In the same way, asking every week, do you want to buy more? Do you want to buy more? Might not get us to the result. But if you do it because in your product, you built a way to actually know when a customer is happy, when are they completing something, when they got into a specific milestone, and at that moment you initiate that kind of conversation that make them a promoter and initiators of more business, then you're doing it right. And so once again, I think we're tying it back with build it into the product, make sure that every commercial discussion is actually triggered based on actual usage and based on actual experience on the product itself.
Definitely.
Well, so there you have it. It was a lot of stuff in not a whole lot of minutes. And there's a lot to dive into each one of those things. I would say, Marie, if you take one thing from today, build it into your product. Make sure that you understand that the only scalable way to actually communicate with your customers at the right time is make sure that you do it through the product, because that's the main interface, and that everything that happens outside of the product is triggered by their action on the product itself. You can really understand, what are the different experiences or emotions that your users are going through at any given time based on different patterns in their usage. If you're able to build those interactions in a way that is triggered, you are able to really create calls to action, move them into action to become promoters out there in the world, and to initiate the second money that you talked about, those additional transactions. If you are interested in learning more, we are here at WalkMe Growth. That's literally our business, and so we're happy to engage about that, right?
Yep, always happy to engage. If you want to check us out, you can check us out at walkme.com/growth edition. And feel free to email me at growth@walkme.com if you want any more information or get connected to one of our sales agents, and we'd be happy to talk to you a little bit further about how we can not only move that onboarding into your product, move that support into your product, add that added value, add that fun, and also identify those upsell and cross-sell opportunities all in your product.
Shall they include any photos of cats when they email you? Is that like going to be a necessity?
I'm more of a dog person.
Okay, me too. Bonding.
Bonding.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'd love to hear back from you, and have a great 2019.
Bye guys, thanks for listening.